Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. In today's tutorial, we are going to see how we can create new users in Jenkins, how we can control the access for users by assigning roles and permissions in Jenkins. We'll also see some of the useful plugins for user management. In some cases, we may see like we are unable to log in with the admin account in Jenkins. So that will be an unfortunate case. So we will see how we can bypass the situation, reset the password for admin account. We'll also go through what are the different kind of security options available in Jenkins. Like we can integrate with LDAP, you can sign up a new user. So different settings we will go through one by one. Okay. So I hope you're going to enjoy this video. So I would request you to subscribe, like my channel, and share and comment. To start, I'm running the Jenkins as a Docker container. So I'm not going to explain this here because we have done this in our previous tutorial. So you can just go through the video how to set up Jenkins as a Docker container. Okay, so we already have the Jenkins instance running on the host IP and the port 8080 or whichever port you expose it from the Docker container. Okay, so let's log in with the admin user and the password. So we are inside the Jenkins and we are on the home page. So currently you can see we are logged in with the admin account. So now let's go to manage Jenkins and we have a option, multiple options like system configuration, security, status, info. Go to manage users. You can see we currently have only one user, which is admin user, right? Because we have created only one user when we set up the Jenkins. Now let's go to configure global security under manage Jenkins. Okay, so we have two main section. One is for authentication, another one is for authorization. So you can see under authentication, we have options where we can set LDAP, we can use Unix account, right? You can have own database, and under authorization, we have multiple options like anybody can do anything, legacy modes, right? Any user can log in to do anything. So there are different settings which you can set. So we'll see how to make use of this by end of this tutorial. But let's start with creating some user account first. Okay. So let's go to manage users, create user. So let's create some test users. So let me use test as a name. Okay, and I will set a password. You can give any username. Doesn't mean you have to give test. Okay, this is a demo, so I'm using test as a username. Okay, let's click on create user. So now we have a test user created, right? If you want to delete, you can press that red circle, so it will delete the user. So let's create one more user as test one. Okay, let's create the user again. Okay, so we have one more user, test one. Okay, so we have three users now, admin, test, and test one. If you want delete, as I said, you can just click on that red circle, so it will delete. Since we deleted test one, let's create it again. Be careful when you're deleting users in the production environment because some of the users, they are using the Jenkins account, they will not be able to log in again. Now, if we go back to manage Jenkins and configure global security, let's scroll down. Okay, so we have an option called matrix-based security under authorization, right? So let's select the matrix-based security. So you may able to see this by default because when you do a normal standard installation of Jenkins, it will ask you to install some standard plugins, right? So this matrix plugin is automatically installed. So if you don't see it in your Jenkins instance, go to manage plugin and you need to install this plugin. You can see matrix authorization strategy plugin. So if you install this, you will be able to get that option. So currently it's under installed tab, but in your case, if you don't have it, you have to go to available and you need to search for it. Now let's make use of this metrics-based security to control our access. Okay, so let me add the admin user by clicking on add user or group, and we can select the access level which you want to control for these users. So for admin, I'm going to give the full access, and I'm also add the other user. Okay, so let's go to add user again, and let me add the test user. And for the test user, I'm going to control the permissions. So I'm going to give some view permission, okay, like read here, and under view, I'm going to give read. And so let me just see. This is for just trial, so I'm giving view here. So I will show you how when we set this permission, what will be the different access for the test user. So let's save this configuration. Okay, you can also use groups. So if you have Active Directory groups or something, you can add those and we can control it. So let me create some jobs as a test jobs under the admin account. Okay, so just to show there are some jobs running in Jenkins, and we will see what will be the different view for the test user. Okay, so we have two jobs created now, job 1 and job 2 in admin account. So in test user, we have given access for read for some of the settings, okay, not for all. So let me log out and log in with the test account. So it's going to be the username is test and the password for that account which we created. Okay, let me sign in. So we are able to sign in, and there are some content we can see, like we can see people, we can see some views, right? We can see some of those screen, but we don't see any jobs here. Why? Because we have not given any access for that account for to viewing the job. So let's go back to the admin account. Let's go to manage Jenkins global security, and if you go to matrix-based security, there is a section for job, right? And there is a read. I have not selected that option in the matrix security. Now I'm clicking on that setting and I'm going to save it. Let's log out and let's log in again with the test account. Now, if you see when we log in with the test, we are able to see the jobs as well, right? So this is how we can control the access for some of the accounts. So you can define how you want to do it. You can set some users to view the job, some users to run the job, some of the users you can give access to delete the job. So you can control the access for different kind of users based on what kind of access level you want to give it. Now let us see a different plugin which we can make use of it, right? So when we go to manage Jenkins and manage plugin, go to available section and search for this plugin named role-based authentication strategy. Okay, so role-based authorization strategy. So you search for this plugin, you select this plugin and click on install. So this is also similar to the matrix-based authorization. So this also helps you to set your access controls for users. Okay, so once the installation is completed, go back to manage Jenkins, and if you scroll down, there will be one more new options which will be available. Okay, let me just refresh it. If you had, yep, it's not coming up because we are not selected the option. So first you need to go to the configure global security. We have to change the settings from matrix based authorization to role based strategy. Okay, so matrix based security to role based strategy. So once you change it, you can see there is a new option like manage and assign roles, right? So unless you select that option under global security, we will not see it. Now if you go to that manage and assign role, we have different option like manage role, assign roles, right? So let's see what are the options available in manage role. So now if you see by default there is a role called admin, okay, which have the full rights. Now let's create a new role as viewer, okay, and let's set some access control here, similar what we did in the matrix based security. Okay, so I'm going to give some view access for some of the settings like what we did before. Okay, so this is not a user. I'm creating a role first. Okay, and this role has to be assigned to a user. So I'm going to assign the role. So to assign the role, we need to have the add the users first. Okay, so let me add the user test and test one. You can see there are two users I have added, and I'm selecting the role as viewer for those two. Okay, the admin is having the role as admin. So once you log out from admin, let's log in with the test user accounts. You can see as the same before, we don't see any jobs or any content here, right? Because we have not set the permission, the viewer role to see the jobs. So let's go back to the admin login, go to manage Jenkins and manage and assign role. So go to the role definition for viewer. Let's make some changes here. Okay, so inside in the job section, I'm going to give read access for the all the viewers permission. Okay. So whichever the user account have the viewer role will have the access to view the jobs as well. So let's log in with the test. Now we can see the jobs listed here. And it will be the same for test one account as well. So let's log in with the test one user account. You can see you are able to see the job for this account as well. So that it's that simple. Like you can create roles, then you can set the permission for each role. So you don't have to set the configuration for each user specifically. You can set for a role. Now if you're in an enterprise environment, you don't want to use this option because you will set up LDAP or other authentication. But if you want to allow users to sign up by themselves, you can use this option. So enable the option like allow users to sign up. So once you do that, you will be able to see a new uh, link here which says create an account, right? So once you click on that, you can give some the user detail like test1, test2. So you can give the name, the password, the email, and you can click on create account. So once you click on create account, what it does is actually it's try to log in, but it does not have any access because we have controlled with the role-based strategy. But if you log in with the admin, and if you go to manage users, you will be able to see the test2 user created here. Okay, so but in order for that user to log in and see the configuration, we need to give the roles assigned to it. So let me add the user test2 as well here. That will give the permission as a viewer for that user as well. Now if you log out and if you set login with the test2 user account, we will see how it looks. You can see now the user is able to access the jobs and the other view permissions which we have given. Okay, let's go to manage Jenkins again and configure global security. So I will uncheck this because I don't recommend to do this. So the LDAP is the one of the best way to do it. If you have an Active Directory authentication, you can select LDAP and you can set up your authentication using LDAP. Okay. So, but you'll have to give your Active Directory LDAP account link details and those things to configure that. Now, if you see, there will be cases where when, as an admin, we are not able to log into the Jenkins. We would have forgot the password or something would have happened. And, the only way us to log in back, you may be wondering how to do it. So if you go back to the Jenkins server, so in our case, it's the Docker container where the volume of Jenkins home is mapped to /var/Jenkins. And you will be able to see the configuration files for Jenkins, your jobs, users, all those things. So we have to go to the config.xml file. So this is the file where the configuration for Jenkins are defined. So I'm going to edit this file And if you scroll down, if you can see a line where it says use security true, right? So it says security true. I'm going to change that to false. So what actually we are trying to do is we are going to bypass the authentication or the user password screen. So let's change it to false, save the file, okay, and exit from it. So I'm going to restart the Docker because it's a container, so just to affect these settings. But if you are having a normal installation of Jenkins, you may not have to do it. Okay. So let me wait for the Jenkins to be rebooted. Now, if you see, it did not ask for login. It directly logged into the account, right? And we don't see anything like admin or which user has logged in. But if you go to manage Jenkins and configure global security, we are able to make all these changes, but we don't see the tab for manage users, right? So let's go to configure global security and let's select these options. So I'm going to use the own Jenkins own database because we don't have any LDAP authentication, so I'm just going to use that. Okay, and now if you see, we have the manage users tab open, and I'm going to go to the admin user. Okay, and I'm going to configure it because now we don't know the password for the admin user, right? So I'm going to change the settings for the admin user. So I'm going to change the password for this user. Okay, I'm going to set a new password and I'm going to save it. Okay, so now I can log in back and I click on login. I'm going to use the admin user and I'm going to the new password which I've set. Now you can see we are logged in with the admin account. Great. So this is how we can bypass the issues when we have challenge with login with the password and we don't know any other option to reset the password or we can retrieve the password. Okay, and we need to set the authorization strategy again. So I'm going to use the role-based strategy again, and I'm going to give the roles and other configurations because those things has been gone now because we resetted the whole settings. So we need to add the roles again. So we need to give the permissions what we need to set for each user. Okay. If you have seen one of my video, I have also spoke about how to back up the Jenkins. So that will also help you in a lot of cases, like if you have any challenges with the Jenkins, some corruption in the configuration or jobs or anything, if you keep taking the backup of your Jenkins home to any file share or any other location, you will be able to make use of those files to restore to a previous state. So that will definitely help you in some of the critical cases. Okay, so just go through that video as well, how to take a backup of your Jenkins. So there are different kind of roles which you can set, like node roles, item roles, which controls the user's permission on different kind of items in Jenkins. To summarize, so as part of this tutorial, we have seen how to create new users in Jenkins, how to control the access for users by assigning roles and permission, right? We have also seen metrics authorization strategy and role-based authorization strategy plugins. And in case you're unable to log in with the admin account, we have also seen how to bypass that using the config.xml file, right? How to edit that file, make use of the use security option to false. We have also seen how we can enable user registration in Jenkins so users can create their account by themselves, right? So I hope this tutorial is informative for you and thank you for watching. Kindly subscribe to my channel, like the video, share and comment.